Here we go, back again with another edition of SAFC Fan TV. And while we're waiting for Jacob to get back from the wherever he's at, we've welcomed Jack to the chat. Hello, Jack. How are you doing on the channel yet again?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. The sun's out today, a little bit better weather than we've had. Talking about the Sunderland win tonight, so we're all happy and yeah, looking forward to it.
Does it feel better than a Monday?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's show thoroughly. It's been tough the last couple of weeks because we've been miserable because we've lost quite often, but not tonight.
Happy days. And also on the channel is Wayne. Wayne, how you doing? Only Fools on SAFC channel is his own channel.
So it is. I'm not too bad, mate. All good. Another day closer to the weekend, really. And like Jack's just been saying, it's nice to be talking about the win for a change. And all good and all happy. Looking forward to coming at the weekend.
Are you a kept man? Do you have Friday off?
I wish I did. No Friday off for me. Monday to Friday I work. I don't work weekends, which is good, but no, I definitely don't get a Friday off.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame. So, welcome to the chat, everybody. In the chat so far, we have Las Palmas, Macam, Mickey Mac, both say hello. Mickey Stewart, Conrad Tank, Kyle McNee, David, and Jacob Kirkbride, who's stuck in traffic, lads, will be quick as well. Jacob, where have you been, Jacob? Want to know where you've been? Surely you haven't been to work this time of night. What kind of shit is that? So there we go. So now we're down to two. Jack's moving off now. But anyway, about 58 people on the live stream tonight. Give us the thumbs up if you're, enjoying the first minute and a half of the show so far. So we're going to go back in time a little bit, back to the Rotherham game. We had 2 defeats, 2-1, and then Rotherham turned up, and it was the same team as it was the week before. Jack, were you surprised about that or not?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it shows that he's got faith in the team. But I thought there would have been a few more changes. To be fair, I thought we needed to freshen up a little bit. But we got the result in the end. So the main thing is the 3 points at the end of the day, isn't it? But yeah, it was a few. I was looking at it and I was surprised at one or two names on the team sheet, I must admit. Happy
days. You were surprised Danny Bart wasn't playing?
Yeah, I thought so. It's got all the classics of like he's going in the next few days, but it's sort of dragging on, isn't it? It's dragging on and on and on, and that's doing nobody any good, really, is it? If he's going to go, get him gone and get somebody else in, or if he's going to stay, play him, because he's evidently first choice centre back for me. I know our fans do like Luke O'Nien, but you can't get by constantly playing, shoehorning people into positions that really you've got an out and out centre back there, and really, you're putting somebody else in that's not quite up to the role in the same way. So I was surprised, but it looks for me like he's going. So, yeah.
Well, Alan Nixon, I don't know if you take notice of any journalists and who are good journalists and poor journalists, but Alan Nixon, I think he's from The Sun, has said Danny Bart has sort of changed his mind and wants to fight for his place. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think his experience is key at this level. How many young players have we got? We've got an experienced centre half who's been there and done it. Good performer as well. You know what you're going to get from him. Yes, he's limited. He's not someone who's going to be. He's not going to win any races, is he? Let's be honest. He's probably not the quickest. Is he the best at bringing the ball out to defence? Probably not. But Sunderland fans just like defenders that defend. You know what I mean? A lot of the time, we're simple football fans. We like our defenders to be strong, put the body on the line, tackle, work hard. And he played very, very well last season. And, I think a lot of our fans, well, I do as well, but I think some of our fans will be more, they'll be more sure of themselves defensively when he's in the team. Do you know what I mean? You'll be a bit more secure when he plays compared to when he doesn't play. So I'm all for it. If he is going to stay, easily give him another year. So, yeah.
Let's hope that's right. Let's hope. Back on the chat again, we've got DJ Sizzler Watson. Evening, everybody. Wayne, really enjoying the channel. Keep it going, Bonnie lads. That's supposed to be saying. Thane, M82, even and all. And only Force SFC says thanks, DJ. So, Wayne. What you got something to promote there? What you're wearing a shirt? What's that about?
Yes, as you can see, we've got the top on, promoting it again. So as you know, we're sponsored by Toff this season, who are kindly offering a 15% discount on the channel. If you go on the website and see anything you like, purchase it, enter the code SAFFEN15, and you get a 15% discount. And good top quality gear. Well worth it.
And what does TOF stand for again?
The old-fashioned football shirt.
All right, nice one, thank you. So, Wayne, when you saw the team news last Saturday against Rotherham, the team that everyone expected to beat because they are favourites to go down, were you happy with the team? Were you disappointed Danny Batth wasn't it?
Well, like what Jack's just been saying, really, I want Danny back in the side, but I think based on what Tony Mowbray has come out and said over the past few weeks, that he's more or less come out and said that Luke O'Nien is kind of his first choice centre half at the moment. He likes somebody to come out and like a ball playing centre half. So I wasn't surprised at all that he wasn't in the team. So disappointed, but I didn't expect any changes, to be honest with you. I just, the options that we've got at this moment in time, there isn't anybody else he could have put in. I mean, when I was being talking about Pritchard coming back in the side as well, but we know Tony Mowbray doesn't like changing his side too much. So for me, I wasn't surprised, but I would like to have seen that. I mean, I want to see Danny back in the team ASAP, and it's great news that he's decided to stay and fight for his place, which is good. He could have took the easy option and went to Blackburn, I suppose, but fair play to him, and let's hope that he gets rewarded with a new contract.
We'll get into the game. For the first 20 minutes, it was 0-0. What was your thoughts on that first early stages?
I thought we were poor. I think the first 5 minutes we seemed to be getting a bit of a head of steam, but after that we seemed to run out of ideas. It was the same kind of thing that we've seen week in, week out when we're not playing with a striker. We're taking a touch too many. Roberts and Clark, you just show them inside and we're struggling, and that's how teams stop us from playing. And then just before they scored, I actually said you can see them growing in confidence and you can see a goal coming. So for me, it wasn't any surprise when they scored. But the first 20 minutes, I thought we were poor. We were slow. We didn't get at them. Like I see, we just run out of ideas, really.
What was the reasons for that then, Jack, do you think?
I don't know. I think we underestimated Rotherham. I think we just expected them to roll over to a certain extent, similar to they did last year when Mowbray's first game when we were 3-0 up. And really, I thought that I sort of slightly disagree with Wayne. I don't think we were poor, but I thought we just expected to dominate the game and dominate the ball and expect Rotherham to just roll over and not graft and not fight. And actually, the best thing that happened to us was actually, I think, going 1-0 down, because it suddenly gave us that kick with the backside, and suddenly we suddenly realised, we're in a game here. Do you know what I mean? Because, yeah, we had a lot of the ball first 20 minutes, but we did absolutely nothing with it. There was no tempo, nobody running in behind. We just expected just to dominate the ball and walk the ball into the net, and Rotherham bang, 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 2 or 3 really good passes, and the ball's in our net. And that's what the championship can do to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a tough competitive league. And if you switch off for 5 or 10 minutes in the game, then you get punished. But actually, I think it was a blessing in disguise going 0 down, Terry, because I think that really we suddenly found some energy from somewhere, got the equaliser within, I think, a minute or two. It didn't seem like long at all, a couple of minutes, I think. And that was suddenly a platform for us to go on and win the game. So really, it was a good thing going 1 down, but we needed something, because otherwise we probably would have drifted, and that might have ended up being 0-0. It was only because we went 1-0 down did we find that extra gear from somewhere and suddenly started to look a bit threatening in the final third.
Definitely a change of momentum completely after that goal, definitely, Jack. So on the channel we have Alan Robinson. Evening, lads. The NCA's Mowbray said in his press conference today that a balance between youth and experience isn't quite there, so he's hoping for 1 or 2 more experienced players to come in before the window closes, touch wood. David says Speakman better put his finger out. That's what he says. And now I've lost the comments because that's it. There we go. Speakman better pull his finger out. It's the worst transfer window we've had since joining that KLD. Jack Black, sideways, backwards, isn't the ball playing centre half. I thought it was slow the first 20 minutes from Luke O'Nien and Patterson, that kind of passing the ball around in defence. I didn't really care much for that too much. Laid back Jack. Anyone prefer Luke O'Nien over Bath? Personally, no, but I can see why people do. Thane, if Bath's still here, when the window shuts, I'll think they'll start playing again. I hope so. Conrad Tank. Sounds reasonable, Thane. And then we got Liam Brennan. Couple of strikers for some, and some injured players back, and we'll have a good season. And then Mickey Stewart, what do you think of the flags being banned? Well, we might talk about that later on. So we'll go to the first goal. So anybody at fault, Jack, for the first goal?
I thought it was poor on the left-hand side. It was a combination, in my opinion, of Dennis Serkin and Luke O'Nien they got drawn out of position too quickly from really two simple balls. All that happened was two quick balls, and then it went out onto the right, and then suddenly there was a ball played in behind, and it was like nobody was tracking him. It was a decent run by the lad. Don't get us wrong; he timed it well, and he got on the end of it and finished it really well. To be fair, because I don't think Rotherham had that many chances in the whole 90 minutes, so they got that one chance, the one golden opportunity, and the lad buries it. To be fair, he finishes it really, really well. So yeah, I think it was a combination of Shirkin being drawn out of position, and I think I might be wrong, but I thought it was O'Nien didn't track the runner as he came across the front of the box, and suddenly he's in. But credit to the lad, because I don't think it wasn't like it was a huge error. You know, it was really well taken, but he took it really, really well. He finished it superbly.
Yeah, I thought just before Rotherham scored, I thought they were actually starting to get in the game a little bit more. And I thought, here we go, they're going to get a goal here. I mean, even Keno, my mate, was saying Rotherham were the better side at this moment. So that goal, Wayne, anybody at fault? Could Patterson have done better?
Oh, I think I went under Patterson, but I think from how close it was, it was a great shot. Like Jack says, I don't think he maybe could have done a little bit better, but you know, you've got to try and stop the shot to start off with. And I think, like just been saying, Luke O'Nien got caught out again. You know, I love Luke O'Nien a bit, but he's not a centre half. Yes, he's good at time, you know, carrying the line, but he got caught out for the goal against Ipswich. I think, you know, he got caught out of position again on Saturday. He got attracted to the ball when running out when it was Serkin's man probably, and he got wide open. And like that kid for them scored last week, the weekend before as well. So he's full of confidence. Give him one chance and it's 1-0. So, but I agree with you. We were slower the first half, and that's why they grew in confidence, because we had no out ball. The ball was coming straight back. We couldn't find to stick up front, and it was coming straight back, and that's where the goal came from, really. So, as much as it pains us to say, but you know, Luke O'Nien was caught out again.
I mean, Wayne Mowbray was saying today he's not really concerned about the defence. Like Rotherham, one shot on target, one goal. Ipswich, was it Preston, 2 shots on target, 2 deflected kind of shots on target, 2 goals. So we are doing well by keeping hold of the possession and holding the ball, not giving them opportunities to shoot and score. But obviously, when they've had a shot, they've been good finishers. So after that, Wayne, Sunderland's goal, did that give us a kick up the backside to really get going? And why does it take, to go 1-0 down to suddenly just wake up?
That's been our downfall for how God knows. I remember speaking about it time and time again on here, didn't we? But I mean, we spoke before the game, and I said if we went 1-0 down, that it could turn toxic and turn nasty in there with the way the fans are at the minute. But you know, the best thing that could have happened to us would be scored straight away, because I think if it had gone another 10-15 minutes, being 1-0 down, the atmosphere could have turned a bit nasty, and you'd have seen that some of them the younger players maybe crumble a bit. So you know, to get that goal pretty much straight away was happened really. Like I say, it'd give us the kick up the arse to then kick on, and from there we weren't really under any trouble, I don't think. So I'm just pleased we got the goal back straight away. Great bit of play. You know, Dan Neil getting forward, and Joby, great to see him getting his first goal.
Mute.
So Jack, what was your thoughts on Sunderland's goal? Was it a good finish by Job?
Yeah, I thought it was a really well worked goal, to be fair. It was Jack Clark played the ball in behind the defence, and then was it Dan Neil that flicked it? Dan Neil sort of got a header across the goal. I must admit, if Anthony Patterson had conceded that goal at the other end, I would have been asking some questions. So I thought their keeper was a little bit flappy, shall we say. I wasn't complaining, don't get us wrong, but I thought their keeper was a little bit flappy with that. I thought it was a soft one the way it went in. It wasn't soft in terms of the build-up, because the build-up was really good. Good diagonal ball in from Jack Clark. Dan Neil got behind and got the header, perfectly timed across goal, and then obviously Job gets a touch on it. I quite like Bradley Dack. I think it was Bradley Dack trying to nick it on the line, didn't he? I was hoping he touched it, because that would have just been our luck. Touched it, and he was in an offside position. And it would have, he wouldn't have got off to a good start with the Sunderland supporters, Bradley Dack. But thankfully, it didn't turn out that way. But I think that the key was just the timing of it. We got back on level terms within a minute or two, because there was groans around the stadium straight away when the goal went in, and suddenly it could have turned in really, I hate to say it, but like a nasty, toxic atmosphere if we'd been 1-0 down for sort of 10 or 15, 20 minutes. So it was really, really good that we got back on track. And really, after that, there was only one team going to win at Arfield.
Right, so welcome, Jacob. Jacob, where have you been? What's been going on?
Stuck in traffic on the way back from the doctors, mate. Do apologise.
I hope you're okay, mind.
Yeah, no worries.
No bother, thanks a lot. Right, so on the chat we've got Brandon. He says, evening lads, how's everybody? Everyone's champion. Hope Jacob is. We've got DJ Sizzler Watson. We won't sign a striker on a Eddie Shoestring budget. Jack Young, Ekwa has also left his man also. And Ben Allison and also David Wilson. So we'll go to Jacob now. We've been talking about the team and the first half, going behind, why we were so slow in the first 20 minutes. Then we suddenly got a rocket of our ass and we equalised. What was your take on the whole first half, Jacob?
Took us a tad while to get going. I think we struggled to adapt with what we had available, particularly in the final third. But I think as the players understood the players' strengths as the game went along, I think we found the will and we found the way. You know, Jude Bellingham being up there, you know, having the tallness in the final third is good, skillful play, and also his hold-up play for a 17-year-old, fantastic. We managed to work it out. That was the best way of getting a result in the afternoon. I think going a goal down through, it was the run of play. Percy, I think we just lacked in confidence in the first 20 minutes. Rotherham, I think, for the majority of the game were poor, but for that passage of play, for the way how they took the goal, could that have been dealt with a bit sooner? Probably yes, but we responded in the best possible way. You know, we equalised within 2 minutes. We got the ball into the box. Good knockback from Dan Neil. Good equalise. Well, keeper should have done better. It was awful keeping from their point of view. But yeah, we.
Oh, Jacob, was there anybody at fault for their goal, our goal sort of thing, but their goal in our back of our net?
Look, I think maybe Dennis Turkin didn't watch his overlapping runner as the guy, I think, squared it into the box. I think Luke O'Neill, I think, was attracted to the ball a little bit as well. It was a well-taken finish, don't get me wrong, but I think the line was all wrong. I think we were, our positional play for how the guy was let in behind, I think it was not the best, Percy. I think we could have done sooner to cut the attack that led to the goal out. But as the first half went along, I thought we responded pretty well. To be honest, I think Luke O'Neill, even though he may have been at fault for the goal, I thought he had one of his better performances at the weekend. I thought he did really well.
Wayne, you want to be in?
I'm just going to say one about this positional play and this back line. Do you not think that's because Luke O'Nine's in there? You know, if Danny Butt was in there, do you think it'd be better organised?
So my dad's just giving me some unexpected. He didn't realise I was on air.
I just think that's kind of where we're lacking. We don't seem to be organised at the back. Luke O'Neill getting attracted to the ball, you know, not sticking with his men. And I think if Danny Butt's in there along with Ballard, we're more solid, we're more organised.
Well, Wayne, do you think that's because we've got to play out the back by having no focus striker up top with Stuart being out? We can't give those long balls. So I think he's forced his hand by playing someone who can play out the back rather than having someone, Danny Bard, who can get the ball long.
Well, he probably has, but I think the big change for me on Saturday was when he switched that drop deeper and Joe went up front, and we had suddenly somebody to hold the ball up. You know, he was doing that. He was, you know, a big physical lad holding the ball up, and he was bringing that into the game. And from there, Dak, for me, controlled the midfield. So that's where the big change came from. But I just think we're just not organised in that back line. I always think we all over the place at times. I mean, Trey Hume hasn't been 100% this season either. And Dennis Circle, I think the first 20 minutes, there were the two of them. And Trey Hume was keep on dropping into midfield, I thought. Jacob.
Camera's falling off the stand. Great start.
that was there.
Many wines already, Jacob. You've only had one,
wasn't it?
Oh, sake,
anyway, we'll go back to the live chat. We've got David Joblin on there. Says, good evening, lads. We've got Alan Robinson. All the momentum from last season has been lost thanks to the lack of investment from the owner. And we've got Thane again. It's strange from the ownership and recruitment because we wouldn't pay the money for Sims, but we're willing to pay for Rusin. Mad Mackham, how's it going, lads? Only striker they'll buy is in a box of matches. There we go. Mickey Mac, the glass of wine's gone straight to your head, Jacob. There we go.
I knew something like that was coming. I knew really.
At half time, we won the pitch, Jacob. You've had a glass of wine now. What was your thoughts on the second half?
Second half, best 45 we played so far this season. Very knocked the ball about so well. when we get the runners in behind, it just shows what a difference it makes. We weren't doing that enough against Ipswich and Preston. I know Ipswich and Preston defended very well. We did take advantage of a poor team, but then again, you've got to prove why you've got more quality than the opposition on the pitch. And the build-up play to Bellingham's second goal was absolutely superb. You know, it was obviously we forced them into making errors playing the ball out from the back, but then again, it was the pressure we added on their back line that forced them to make the mistakes. And the layoff from Dak for Bellingham's finish, that was absolutely fantastic. I think that it all depends on what players you bring in now to the end of the window, but I think that's going to be our best form of attack going into the Coventry game at the weekend. Dak just sort of playing as that number 10 role, and then Bellingham will be probably the false nine, because I think even though Clark has played as a main striker before, he did that for the period where I think Sims and Stewart are both out injured last season. I think him and Pritchard chipped in for that role. I think he'll want to keep Clark on the left because that's his best attribute, you know, beating fullbacks and, you know, cutting in and having a shot.
Thank you. Back on the chat, we've got Mickey Mack. A glass of wine's gone to head. David, the Ukrainian, is on his way, hopefully. Or is he not? Colin Major Jacob, what team does your dad support?
Massive Sunderland fan, mate. Huge. Hence why I'm a Sunderland fan myself, Sun until I die.
There we go. And Thean says, apparently a 4-year deal. So, Jack, Job Bellingham, not Jude. Job Bellingham, we'll talk about Job. Job, 2 goals, could have scored 5, he said. What was your thoughts on his performance overall?
I wish we did have his brother Terry. Not that I'm. I don't like Joe, but Jude's next level up again. He was excellent. He was really, really excellent, wasn't he? Not just. I mean, you can easily look at it simplistically and say scored 2 goals, won us the game. Could have had a hat trick. But it was a mature performance. I've said it a couple of times this season. He's 17-year-old, but he plays like he's played football for 8 or 9 years, like he's 25 or 26, or you know what I mean. He's like he's been a good professional and played 300, 400 games already. His control, his ability to carry the ball is something that we haven't seen in our team in a good couple of years. You know, like a real box-to-box lad that can pick up the ball on the edge of our box. And he's got the legs, hasn't he? He's got the ability to pick up the ball, run with it, take on plays, and then create things. You can see other teams are playing against him, and he's in the mood and he's carrying the ball. They don't like it, you know what I mean? He threatens defenses. And the 2 finishes, I mean, yeah, the first one was a bit scrappy. The second one was brilliant. I mean, I know he had, you know, the defence. I don't know where the Rotherham defence were, but he still had a little bit to do because he had to keep it down, get it past the keeper and find the back of the net. So he made it look really, really simple. And I think for someone who's 17-year-old, he's only going to get better the more he plays. If we manage this player right, if we manage Bellingham right, he's going to be a top player. And the issue we're going to have is the more he plays in our team, the more the teams are going to, you know, look at him and think he's too good for Sunderland, and that's probably what the ownership model is looking to do. To be honest, let's not get them wrong. You know, they're probably wanting to you know, train players up and showcase them and then sell them on. But at the minute, he looks like he's got you know the ability to go to the very top. And hopefully, if we manage him right, we don't burn him out. That's a key as well. We don't want to burn him out too much. You know, he can only get better and better.
That's what Tony said today in the interview as well. That when we get like strikers and our strikers fit back, it's going to be, you know, he's got to try and fight for his place because you won't always get a game all season with like plenty of games. So yeah, 17 years of age. I've seen his interview. He's very mature in front of the camera and very humble as well, which is great to see. You can tell he's been around that kind of environment for most of his life. So Wayne, we talked about Job, his second goal. It was a great finish, great build-up. But overall round performance from the young lad, he seems to get better as the game's gone on.
Like you see, he's getting better with every game he plays. I mean, I've just been looking at his stats there. I mean, he played 24 games for Birmingham last season. He's played 3 full. He only played 27 professional games, you know, and he seems to play with, there's like an aura about him, isn't there? It's the Bellingham name, but you can see loads of elements like Jude in his game. You know, he's calm, he doesn't seem to panic. Like Jack's just been saying, his second goal, he could have easily ballooned it over the bar. You know, he had that much time to think about it, but he took his time, placed it right in the corner, great finish. So, I mean, he probably could have had 3 or 4 if and I snatched at the third chance. But overall, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Once we made the switch to Prum a little bit further forward, he took control of the game and he stood out head and shoulders above everybody else. Him and Dak, I thought, were outstanding. And like Jack's just been saying, if we manage him correctly, he's going to be a world beater. But the danger is, trying to keep all of them, because some big teams will be after him in a year or two if he keeps on improving the way he has improved so far.
Well, like Coventry, they sold their striker and they reinvested all their money again. So I'm hoping when we actually do sell some players for assets in the future, we do actually reinvest the money again and just keep building the club. So, Jacob, what was your thoughts on Dak's performance on Saturday? Was it better than the previous game?
Yeah, let's not forget also, Terry, Dak's still finding his fitness at this moment in time. I think it's not being handled. I think Mowbray was hoping for more signings to come in from the off and, be able to chip in Dak's role once he finds his fitness. But at the same time, Dak, he's an experienced player. We do need some form of experience in terms of the new signings in the squad at this moment in time. And listen, he's up in the position he wants to play, and he probably has even more responsibilities considering we have no striker at this moment in time. But Dak's creativity and his goal scoring record for a midfielder in this league is, it's proven that we could do with a player like that at this moment in time, and he will not only chip in with goals but assist this season as well. And it was a really good performance from him, particularly second half on Saturday.
Nice one. On the chat, we've got James Davison. Good evening, gentlemen. Rig, Embleton, Sleet, maybe on the bench versus Coventry. Yes, we may have to put some, recently injured players on the bench because the squad isn't big enough with injured players that we have. Tam, he's right. If Joe Bellingham trains like people are expecting, he'll be snapped up within 2 or 3 years. Job seems like a very nice lad. Best of luck to him. Thean, too early for Embo. As for Sleet, maybe, but I'd probably say Triantis ahead of him. I think it's too early for both of them, to be fair. And then we got a couple more comments. We got Matty Harrison. One of my mates just told me the flag's been banned at the Stadium of Light in the Roker, but he doesn't know why. Jack, do you know why?
I don't know why. No, I'm sure someone will probably know, but I haven't. I don't really get involved with that sort of thing, to be fair. So it's not something I would have really noticed, but someone might know.
Jacob, do you know?
I've heard from some it's to do with, flags and banners ended up on the pitch for health and safety reasons. Bear in mind, I've not seen one being thrown on the pitch in the 3 to 4 years we started using them in the 18-19 season when we're in League One. But also, I can understand from what's the fan group that make the 73 group, isn't it?
Spirit of 73.
Spirit of 73. There was incidents last season where people were nicking them away from them. I can understand their frustration on that because there's so much time and effort that goes into displays, and if you're stealing obviously banners, then all that hard work needs to be done again. But there's more to it, I think, with personally, I think if that's the reason, for that specific health and safety reason, I think it's a load of rubbish, if I'm personally honest. But there could be more to it. I don't know. But then again, there's apparently the bloke who made the decision who works for the club, from what I've been told, to mag. People have jumped on that on social media. But yeah, guys, feel free to jump in with suggestions on the chat and also on the panel tonight about what you think the reasons could be for this decision.
Do you want to win?
Yeah, so the guy who oversees that is a guy called Steve Neal, and he's a mag. And like what Jacob's been saying, apparently he said that the fear was of some of the flags being thrown at the players on the pitch. But in the 4 or 5 years that we've had these displays, not one flags end up on the pitch. And all when they had the paper squares, they have ended up on the pitch now and again, but the flags have never ever been thrown on the pitch. And apparently it's all came from this Steve Neal, who's a mag who's overseeing it all, and he's put the block on it.
Well, this could only happen at Sunderland, isn't it, really? You've got a mag in charge of some things. Right, what, Jacob?
The only thing I can think of is like the sticks used to like hold the flags itself. I don't know, has there been kickoffs in the Roker end where they've been used as potential weapons in like fallouts and scrap? I don't know. That's the only reason I can think of for them to ban the flag display, because I've not seen unless someone in the Roker end, who sits there, comment on the chat tonight, because I obviously don't sit in that part of the ground. Is there anything you can think of why they've banned the flag display for the foreseeable future?
It was actually a noticeable difference. Not at the weekend. It was, not seeing them flags down there was a big miss. It helps with the atmosphere before the game, and not seeing them there wasn't flat, but it was just disappointing to see it had been stopped.
Right, thank you. Anyway, we'll go back to the chat, and we've got David Walker. The one that banned him was a Mad Mackham. These snowflake players might be getting hit by a bit of cotton wool. Okay, fair enough. And then Andrew DB. So if you're enjoying the live stream tonight, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Try to get 100 likes if possible. It's pretty difficult with 94 people on the chat, but we'll try anyway. So we'll go back to Jack. Jack. I was going to say something to Jack, but I forget now, so I have to make something else up. So, Jack, who was the man of the match on Saturday, for starters? And the second question will come back to us in a minute.
Well, the one player that stands out is obviously Bellingham, but there were a few good players. Bradley Dack had a good game. I felt I didn't realise how good he was technically on the ball, because he got in the middle, as Wayne touched on, and he sort of dropped into the middle at times. And I thought he was more of an attacking midfielder, someone to run in behind and get on the end of things. But he's probably better in terms of his technical ability on the ball as well. He played some good passes, and he switched the play a few times and helped create attacks and start things off. So I thought Dak had a good game as well. But the obvious ones, Bellingham was spoke about him already on the chat. Clark and Dan Neil as well. I must admit, Dan Neil had a good game. I've been critical of Dan Neil so far this season, but I thought he had a really good game on Saturday. I thought he was the one player who got on the ball a lot, and his percentage of passes, I don't think he gave the ball away very much at all on Saturday. Every pass was the right pass. So yeah, I thought Neil had a good game as well. But the obvious one's Bellingham, isn't it? I mean, he got the goals. He was the key player for us in the final third.
Were you not disappointed we didn't score more goals and put it to bed?
Absolutely. That's the only slight worry is that, we could have been 3 or 4-1 up. I mean, they weren't scoring more than one, were they? So I mean, when we got 2-1 in front, I was fairly confident, but there's always that niggling feeling in the back of your mind that this is Sunderland we're talking about. A mistake's never far around the corner, or someone's going to play someone through or put one in the top corner from 30 yards out, even though they haven't been in the game. So there's always that slight worry. But to be honest, Terry, I was fairly confident. I felt like we had a good control of the game after the wobble at the start. And really, it would have been nice to get a third and make it more convincing. 3 or 4-1 always looks better, but I never really felt like Rotherham were really troubling us, and I didn't really think they were going to get into it.
Wayne, same to you. Man of the match, and we disappointed?
I mean, we said Joby could have had 3 or 4, couldn't he? So, but for man of the match, obviously Joby's going to get it, but I think we've just been speaking about how few games Bellingham's played. If you look at Pierre, well, I think he's played even less than that. How many games has he played for us? 15, if that. And he's another one getting better and better with every game. And I thought on Saturday, again, he was breaking play up, and he's good at that breaking play up and laying it off. And that's where Dan Neil actually had a good game as well. He had his best game of the season as well. I agree with Jack. So, but Joby will get it for me. But I just want to give a mention to Pierre. Another one, if he keeps on improving the way he's improving, another one who could be snapped up in a year or two's time. It's he just doesn't panic. He just gets on with the game and does the dirty things in the game, if you like. But Joby for me will obviously get the match for the 2 goals.
Jacob?
Yeah, Bellingham, mate, 100%. His confidence was sky high, particularly second half. And, to see a 17-year-old kid, playing with the confidence he did, it's only going to be good signs for the rest of the season, considering he was in a more advanced role to what he's probably used to being playing in for the early parts of his career. Just started, to be honest. I don't know how many league games he played for Birmingham last year, but he can flourish having his first full season as a first team regular this year, and to see him in a attacking an advanced role, considering we had no other option. You know, he earned that place, and you know, for him to do that, get on the score sheet twice as well, great to see. So yeah, Bellingham.
Before we get into injuries, my mate Nick Quinn, who likes the pasties, he likes a nice pasty, Nick Quinn there's got a question. Jack, what do you think he says there? Do you think the hierarchy want Mowbray out, Jack?
Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm going to be honest with you now. I don't think Tony Mowbray will be on that much money, to be fair. So if the board wanted him to be sacked, they would just get rid of him. There would be a compensation package, and he would go. So I don't think they want him out. I think he's doing a steady job. He probably did better than they expected him to do last year. Let's be honest. They probably thought mid-table, maybe bottom half. He did really, really well. And that's giving them an extra sort of okay. Then I'll keep it the way it is. Did he only sign a 2-year contract last year, Mowbray? Did he? Is this like the last year of his contract would be? Yeah. If that's the case, I don't think they would gain much by sacking him. To be fair, do they want him to walk? They might, but I don't think he will walk, because he's doing probably. Let's be arrogant about. Well, probably the biggest club he's going to be able to manage at this stage of his career. He's not in his prime now, Tony Mowbray. He's in his 60s. This is a job on his doorstep. He's working with young players at a big football club. Let's call it what we are. We are a big club. So this is a good job for Tony Mowbray. So I can't see Tony Mowbray ever resigning from Sunderland. I think it's more than likely at the end of the season it'll be a sort of shaking of hands. Thanks very much, Tony, but we're going to go down a different direction. So no, I don't think they want him to go.
Jacob, Tony Mowbray's in his interview today. He seemed a little bit more happy to me. He looked a bit more at peace, more happy. He just seemed to be sort of calm about the whole situation. He said he was brought in knowing exactly what the model was. So he knows it's about experience. He still thinks the balance isn't right. Do you think we're going to bring more experienced players in before the window closes?
Well, I've not watched his presser. Obviously, if you've watched, if he came across, more upbeat about obviously the result the past week, but also about the preparation methods going into this weekend, let's just hope, fingers crossed, there's signings on the way and deals that are about to be agreed and players that he believes, because I still stand by, he doesn't have much of a say on the players that come in. It's purely Christian Speakman, but players that he's been consulted about and he agrees that can make a difference on the squad this season, and they're on the verge of being a Sunderland player. And let's hope that the first one of those is the striker that apparently terms have been agreed earlier today. Obviously, I missed the first 50 minutes of the show tonight. Apologies once again, but yeah, let's just hope the deal is done. Apparently, I know we had a deal that apparently fell through last Friday. It was talk that could have been Emmanuel Dennis. I'm not sure there's any specific rumours in that, or Jay Stansfield. I'm not sure if a bid was ever placed. I think he's off to Birmingham now, from what I believe. But yeah, a striker could be on the way, and it's a striker that I think Tony believes could make a difference this season, which is why he's a little bit upbeat at the moment.
So Wayne Nazari Russian, the 24th Ukrainian centre forward, is apparently the one on Wikipedia now plays for Sunderland. Do you think, is he going to come in, Wayne? What did you want to say as well?
I was going to say about in the chat there, David Waters just said there's just been announced on Twitter that Jay Stansfield has gone to Birmingham, so that's one we'll not be getting. And that had been rumoured earlier today he was heading to Birmingham, but that's a bit of a blow, because I thought he was going to be one that was just about nailed on. But this was go on, Terry.
The other thing he said today, Mowbray, was that the club is not going to go down the route of relying on loan players. That's not what they want to do. They don't want to get loan players in and just sort of leave them in next season. They want to bring their own players in to grow them themselves.
But on that's kind of changing his tune to what he said in his press conference last week, because in his presser last week, he kind of said, well, we might have to wait till the last day of the window and then get some of these Premier League loan players in. So he's changed.
He thinks that his bottom smacked since then.
Don't say that, Tony. So
What's your thoughts on the Ukrainian lad, Wayne?
Well, he's got a decent record, hasn't he? I think he's got 13 goals, I think, in the Ukrainian side. But my only worry is with him, yes, he's a goal scorer. He knows where the net is. But like has been proven in the signings we've signed in the past from foreign companies, Tony Mowbray's always come out and said they need time to bed in. Does he speak English? We didn't know. You know, these French lads took along Bar and Bennett have took to settle in. So is he going to be a one who comes in and hits the ground and can play straight away? I don't know. That's my only worry about him. But he certainly looks to be a goal scorer. But I've just got these reservations. To me, I'd rather see someone like Bellingham, who's had a good few games in the Championship, ready to hit the ground and play straight away, not waiting for him to bed in and get used to the new country and that sort of stuff. So I don't know. I'm pleased with, if it is, we're getting somebody in Bram a little bit reserved if he's going to be playing straight away, if you like.
You want in Jacob, 24 years of age? Surely he'd be okay by now.
Well, I think, you know, I can understand Wayne's concerns, but at the same time, I think, was it Edouard Michou? Correct. He came in from I mean, I know it's from a club that is, you know, from the past decade or so, you know, had one of the best, well, some of the best players in the world, and obviously they've built their club up considering they were nothing before the takeover. But yeah, I mean, listen, you know, I think we can only put faith in what my theory is, that, you know, obviously Mowbray's a bit more upbeat this week. I think I do agree with what, you know, he said, purely because we want players here for the foreseeable future, not relying on loans. I think that's what let the club down over the years, particularly during the Premier League decade that we recently just had, where we didn't have a plan B after that. But, you know, I think there has been players that Speakman has wanted this window, but he hasn't been able to get the right deal. He wouldn't. Speakman, for me, I just hope that I'm wrong, he doesn't go for plan Bs, he goes for plan A. But it all depends on when he's willing to wait for when that specific player comes available. And hopefully he's a player that we've wanted for a really long time and not just being classed as like a plan B or C, considering plan A's gone out the window.
Jack, this Ukrainian's 24. He's already plays for the first team. Surely he should be okay to bed in straight away.
Yeah, well, I've been looking up brushing up on me Ukrainian Super League, Ukrainian Premier League knowledge. The team he plays for finished third last season behind Shakhtar Donetsk and Dnipro, SC Dnipro. They were the top two, and his team was third. I think he did score a few last season, but he wasn't prolific. I think he only played 15. They only played 30 games in the season. I'm just going off Wikipedia, by the way. So if these are wrong, if these stats are wrong, then sorry. But 15, I think he's got 3 in 15. He's highly rated. I know there's been a few sort of Ukrainian journalists and people on Twitter and social media saying that you know, he's highly rated and he's got good potential. Which sort of fits the model we're going down, don't we? You know, a young player and to develop on. So really, yeah, I've been willing to have anybody in at the minute because we are really, really short of strikers. But I would also like somebody else in as well. I'm going to be honest. I think get this lad in, absolutely. Pay 2 or 3 million from him, no problem at all. But I think it would be silly to sort of completely rule out the loan market, because often what happens is big Premier League clubs, you know, that they sign players later on in the window and even in the next week, and they might suddenly look at the squads and think, actually, a player that we thought might have been involved in the first team is not going to get first team football anymore. We'll make him available for loan. So I think it would be silly to completely rule that out. I'm not saying go and get, you know, 9 loan players in the next week, but, you know, if there's a decent striker becomes available from a Premier League team that's not featuring, that we look like, you know, look like we might be interested in them, I'd go all out to get them, because we've had a decent record recently when you consider, you know, loan strikers, you know, particularly Ellis Sims worked well, and 1 or 2 others. So I think it would be silly to completely rule that out and maybe get Rushin in and then one other Premier League loan striker as well. I know I'm greedy, but I think we're short in several areas.
How many more players will we get in, Jack, between now and the end, for your heart and from your head?
My heart wants to say about 5, to be fair, Terry, but I think it's more likely we're probably going to end up with maybe another 2 through the door.
Is there anybody you think we're going to let go? Now we have those injuries.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't surprise us to see one of the 3 mentioned gone. I mean, I thought Bath was lining up to go, but, you know, apparently he's had a change of heart. I wouldn't be surprised to see Pritchard or Gooch go. Either of those go. I don't think there'll be major sales, but I think there'll be. Wouldn't surprise if one or two were sort of moved along.
But Jacob, I think Pritchard will start on Saturday. Do you still see him going in the window?
Potentially, because I personally think the reason they brought Dak in was to fill Pritchard's role. Personally, I think, they're looking at Pritchard. I think, could they be thinking, they're looking to just get him off the wage bill. Personally, I think he's one more year left on his contract. I think is the mark, because I think where I was sat in the ground on Saturday, I was sat where the players, like right in front of me, where they were warming up. Pritchard, he looked absolutely fuming that he wasn't playing. But at the same time, is he wanting a new contract where the demands are a little bit too high for a player that's over 30, and us, disrupting the infrastructure we have in place at the moment with young players? People agree with that. Some people disagree. But if that's the structure they want to go down, so be it. And for me, I still think Dak was signed to replace Pritch. And but then again, I do agree with you, Terry. We may not have any choice. Pritch may start at the weekend, but in terms of players, potentially going out, I think there will be at least, I think the likes of Pritchard or Gooch will leave permanently, but I think we could maybe send one or two out on loan. I think the likely candidates could be maybe Dewey for a season, also Niall Huggins as well.
Yeah, cheers, William.
I'm just going to say, Kane Thane's just put something in the chat there, which I've been banging about for weeks. Kiefer Moore, I think he'd be absolutely perfect for us. He's big, strong, hold the ball up. I just think he'd be absolutely perfect sign. If he's going to be made available for loan from Bournemouth, I think we should be snapping him up straight away if the wage deal is right.
Jacob?
That's the fit. Correct me if as Kiefer Moore, though, he had a pretty gruesome injury record the past few years.
I think
Jack,
if he's going to any championship club, I think he'd be off to Cardiff, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong, but I think he could end up back down there. But I agree with you, though, Wayne. He would be ideal for us, a tall, physical, imposing striker, been around the block a few times, you know what I mean? He knows how to be a striker, a centre forward in the championship, and he'd probably get us 10, 12, maybe even more goals. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see us going down that route of a strike. I mean, I would love to get somebody in permanently, even 29, 30-year-old, but I think it's more likely to be a 20, 21-year-old young lad, which if you get right, like I say, you can get the odd gem there, like we've got with Diallo. I think that's more likely to happen. I think we'll probably get the Ukrainian lad as well as, we'll have to wait and see, I suppose.
Well, on the chat, David Jobson says, get your money out your pockets and sign Tom Cannon. But I'd love to see Tom Cannon come, but obviously on a permanent deal rather than a loan. We got Thame, loads of comments. We appreciate your comments, Thame. Absolutely fantastic to keep the chat going. Conrad Tank on there as well. And then Tam is going to comment on it. What do you think the club's ambition is this season? Well, they said top 2, but whether that's going to happen, we'll soon find out. And then David Pritchard does not want to leave. Of course he doesn't want to leave. I think a young fan met him this week somewhere in Durham and had a conversation with him, and he wants to stay at the club. Whether the club want to keep him is another thing. Now we're running really short of time, so we better go to the Coventry match. We play Coventry City down the Building Society Arena or something. The old Rico Arena. So I'll quickly put up the team news when I think will start. But you could have anybody that comes in, really. I put Pritchard up there quickly, but it could be Gooch on that side. You could have Barr coming over and Clark moving around. Jason Bennett, apparently, allegedly, he's got an injury. And we also saw Roberts went off for the weekend. He's got a hamstring injury and he's going to be out for 4 weeks. So we'll let Jack get started with team selection, who we would have. And what's your thoughts on Roberts, Jack?
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing that Patrick Roberts is out, isn't it? I think he's out for the Southampton game as well, which is disappointing. Luckily, it's not a long-term one because on his day, Patrick Roberts is one of our main, if not our main creative threat. Obviously, you've got Clark on the other side, but he will be a miss. Yeah, who are you going to play in that role? I don't know. It'll be an interesting one because we're not blessed with right-sided options other than Patrick Roberts, are we? I don't know. Maybe if he wanted, could he perhaps change Clark around, put Clark there, and maybe put somebody on the left wing, maybe Bennett there. I don't know. I'd be tempted to do what you've done there, Terry. Play Pritchard in that role if he is able to get down and play on the wide. I mean, he's predominantly a central player, isn't he, Pritchard? But if he can put some, he does deliver a good ball, Pritchard. So he might be able to, stay on the touchline and just put some good balls into the box if we can get Pritchard up there.
Jack, your memory's better than mine. Did Alex Neil play him on the right hand side at times?
I can't remember. I think he did play there occasionally, but I don't think he was a regular there. I think he did have the odd game there, though, Terry. You might be right, but I don't think it was his regular role.
Yeah, I think Benetti is apparently injured. So, well, we'll see what happens. But someone also said put Luke O'Neill on that side and put Danny Bart.
I was just going to say it might be Abdullah Bar in that case. Then he can play on the wide, can't he? So I don't know whether he would play right and Clark left or Clark left and him right. I don't know one of the two.
What's your thoughts, Jacob?
We lack width in the team at this moment in time. It could be back to. Do you remember that period under Johnson where we were playing? Was it 4-2-2-2? Because the amount of players you play centrally, it looks like we could be resulted to that, because I just don't see this talk of, I know the previous times Abdullah Bar's come on this season, he's played out on the wing, but I don't see any effectiveness from that at all. When I see Bar have a good game, it's always through the middle, so we could be resulted to that. But if we're going to do that, Sirkin and Hume are going to have the game of their lives at fullback, stopping the pace that Coventry have out wide and providing the creativity into the box. But I'm a little bit more upbeat considering our second half performance last week, even though it was against a poor team. But for confidence reasons, I'm considering, I think, the way we can set up as a side away from home, I think we've got more results doing that, particularly last season. I think even if we are to come away with a point on Saturday, even if it's like a defensive display, stopping Coventry for the majority of the game, I'll snap your hand off for that now, to be honest.
Wayne, if they're worried about these obviously the Coventry fullbacks, what about putting Luke O'Neill over here and putting Danny Bart in defence?
It's an option, Brad. Like I said earlier, we know Tony Murray doesn't like changing his side too much. Could possibly go with a back five. I know it was mentioned before the game last weekend, and could possibly go that with Brad. I just think he's going to make one change, and it'll be Gooch on the right hand side for Roberts. I think Gooch will be straight back in there. And I think the only option, like what Jack was thinking there, was to put Clark on the right and Abdullah Bar on the left. But I just think it'll be Gooch straight swap. I mean, I do worry on Saturday because Ellis Sims and this new guy Hadji Wright, loads of pace, big physical, up against Luke O'Neill, and I don't know. If you put Bat in there, you're losing pace. So it's a bit of a balance. And maybe your back five might not be a bad idea, but I just don't think we'll change things too much.
So we'll go to you, Jack. Jack, if you were manager, what would your team would be on Saturday? And what's your thoughts on Coventry overall?
Well, five at the back might not be a bad shout by Wayne, to be fair. Did they play two up front? Did they play two strikers up front? Yeah, I thought they did. If that's the case, then five at the back might be a decent option. Put Danny Bath in with Ballard and O'Neill. And then maybe you probably end up having to drop Bradley Dack out of the attacking midfielder and go five at the back, two Holden, two wide players, and Joe Bellingham up front. So yeah, the more I'm thinking about that, with two up front and Coventry is strong at home, they've made a good start to the season. That might be what I would do. I would play Danny Bath as a third centre back and maybe lose Dack from the middle, and then possibly Pritchard on the right and Clark on the left. Yeah, that would be what I would do.
Jacob, you want it in?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, Ellis Sims, I know it goes back to that debate. Every single ex-player puts in a game of their life against us. But Ellis, I think the type of striker he is, I have faith in, Luke O'Neill and Dan Ballard being able to cope with him. It's players what's undone us from the goals we've conceded towards the back end of last season, and also the start of this season, the strikers who can run in behind with pace. who are in the right place at the right time. I think Matt Godden, who starts for them, I think has been starting for them since the beginning of the season. I think he even scored against us when Cov were playing down in League One when we played them. So yeah, he's done well there. Good finisher. He reminds me of how Billy Sharp was down in these divisions, where he peels off the man, uses pace, gets in the right areas, and supplies the finish. He's that type of striker, and I think if we can cope with him, but also the new lad that Wayne mentioned as well, he's been a breath of fresh air, replacing Gyökeres, who's gone off to Sporting. It's going to be a danger, but yeah, I think we just need to, with the way how Coventry play, we may need to slow the game down a little bit, considering it's going to be a different threat to what Rotherham provided at the weekend.
Wayne?
I was going to say that on Matty Godden. I was talking to a Coventry fan on my channel, and apparently Matty Godden is apparently available for transfer. Now, I think he'd be a decent sign for us, actually. I think he'd be a great sign for us if he's available. Apparently, he almost went somewhere in the close season. The deal fell through, but apparently they're trying to get rid of him.
Interesting, very interesting. Right, we've got 106 people in the live chat tonight. We've got Ian Barron in, the Darlington fan, Conrad Tank. I take a point on Saturday, a tough game. With Roberts gone, I can smell a loss. David Joblin's going for a 3-2 win. We've got Mickey Mack on there, saves for a 2-2 draw. So there we go. So we'll go for score predictions and your overall thoughts on the game, Jack.
Yeah, I think we're in for a really tough afternoon, to be fair. Coventry have started well. I think they're going to be personally up there in the mix for the top 4 or 5. They've got a pretty good squad. They've improved year on year. We mentioned earlier in the show they sold Gyökeres, and they've used it and got some really good players. I was just checking our record at Highfield Road and the Ricoh Arena, and it's awful. We haven't won there since 1985. 1985 was the last time we won. I don't think me or Jacob were born. You two probably were, but a little bit older than us. So not a happy hunting ground for us. And I can't see us winning on Saturday, I'm afraid. I think they'll have a little bit too much for us. I don't think they'll batter us, but I think it'll be a narrow defeat. I think it'll be something like 2-0. I'm sorry to predict the loss, but I just think they'll be a little bit too strong.
Yeah, the last time we beat Coventry, I went to see Sunderland playing Norwich in the Milk Cup final back at the old Wembley, so that's a long, long time ago. Score predictions, Jacob, and thoughts on the game overall?
For optimistic reasons, and also considering it's my birthday on Saturday, I'm going.
Happy birthday on Saturday, Jacob, lad.
What's that?
Perfect present.
Happy birthday on Saturday.
Yes, it is. I'm not going to let Sunderland FC ruin my birthday regardless. There's no point of doing that. You go for the love of them. I'm going to say, purely to put a birthday smile on my face, I'll say Sunderland to win 2-1, but will come from a goal down to it.
Nice one. Oh, exactly. So we go back to the chat again. We've got David Wilson says 2-1. Fian says happy birthday. Diane Leake. Russian is signing. Mickey Mack, you could reverse the last 2 numbers. Terry and still would be there. Right, Wayne, what's your thoughts on the game overall and your score prediction?
I think it's going to be a very, very tough afternoon. Like Jack just brings in there, they've got like £27 million, didn't they? So Gyökeres here has gone as well, but they made 8 or 9 good signings during the window. They've practically signed somebody in each position. They've got a goalkeeper, 2 centre backs, flying winger, obviously the 2 centre forwards. And I think I watched them against Leicester the first game, and they were really, really good. They were lucky not to get out from the game that day. So, like Jack, I don't like predicting us to get beat, but I just think they're going to be too strong for us the way we are conceding goals and getting caught out. I think the 2 lads up front, and bearing in mind Ellis Sims hasn't scored for them yet, so it's a guarantee you're going to get one Saturday. So tough afternoon. If I can get a point, great, but I think it'll be a narrow defeat. I'm going to go 2-1 loss, unfortunately, as much as it pains us to see it.
Do you know what it is? With all the doom and gloom around with like Robert Mason and everything, not getting strikers in. I think you're right. I think Ellis Sims will win, but I think it'll be the first time. I don't even know if it is. I'm just going to make this up. In the history of football, that a team's had 4-2-1 results at the start of the season, and we're going to turn it around and win 2-1 this Saturday and pull off a massive surprise under all the doom and gloom. So, Jack, have you enjoyed the show? Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, it's been good. Thanks for everyone for watching. We wouldn't have a show if people didn't watch and people didn't enjoy it, did this? So I hope I'm wrong. I know people say, "Oh, why has he predicted a loss?" I always give me honest answer, and I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll come next week and say, "Look, I was completely wrong." But hopefully we get something. What's that? Sorry.
Are you going to the match?
I am. Yes, 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. The bus is going down. So yeah. And hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully we do get something. But if not, just see what happens. But I'll see everyone later, lads and lasses.
If anybody down there sees Jack with his hands in his pockets all by himself, go and buy him a pint. Okay, there you go. Jacob,
give them all
are you
to me
going
for
the
my
match on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm going, mate. Sunderland London supporters branch on the 9:20 train from Euston in the morning. Hopefully a good birthday, fingers crossed. But if it ends up a defeat, I'm not going to let it ruin my day. But if I see you at the match, if you want to have birthday celebrations with me drinking some pints, feel free. You don't have to buy me them, though. Give them to
I
Jack.
thought it was your birthday last Saturday because you were pissed last Saturday as well.
Weren't that bad?
If I see you, I'll get you a pint.
Cheers.
Just trying to
You want to say goodbye to everybody?
No, guys, keep the faith as always. So.
Wayne, have you enjoyed the show? And you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Yeah, great show, lads. It could be an expensive weekend for some of the fans if they see Jack and Jacob down there at the weekend. They'll be buying everybody pints, won't they? So it could be have plenty of money with us.
Are you watching the game of the weekend, Wayne?
I'll be watching it. Yeah, we'll see how we'll get on. Like I say, we hope we get some out of the game, but I just can't see it. But great show once again. Don't forget to have a look at Toft and get that 15% discount. SAFC 15. But thanks everybody in the live chat. Great show.
How many likes are we on, by the way? Does anyone know how many likes we're on? Just a quick check. I mean,
68, I'll make it, if mine's right.
Go on, give us a few more, man, if you're watching.
Oh, you can do it. Thanks for watching.
I want to say a big thank you to everybody on the chat tonight. Much appreciated you just joined in. Like I said, the people who join in makes the show, otherwise we'll just be talking to ourselves. And also, I'm doing a live stream on Saturday on the Mad Mistakes. If you want to join in, be there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. God bless me. God go with you. And we'll see you next time on SAFC Fan TV. Thank you, everybody, on the panel as well.